I don't know what day it is, but we're still here, and we just stay here 24/7 because you never know who's going to stop by. And as we get later into the week, this place is absolute bedlam today on Radio Row. And joining us right now, where do we begin? Well, we can't call her. She didn't begin as a doctor. She didn't begin as coach. She began as a great athlete who played football, coached football, got a doctorate in philosophy,
Psychology.
sports psychology. You know her as the first woman to ever become an assistant coach in the National Football League, Dr. Coach Jen Welter. Is it doctor or coach?
I guess it depends, but I think you're always coach and always a doctor because the two are so intermixed to me.
Well, they can take, you can stop coaching, but you can never stop being, you'll never give up the doctorate. That's for sure.
It's true. But I usually let the doctor card, like when I meet people, I'll let it fly under the radar. So that they kind of underestimate you and then you can really check them out. Because, unfortunately, most people don't realize how smart you have to be great in football. So they'll know that, I played football or this, that, and the other, and they find out about a doctorate, and they're like, what?
But you still play football. That's the thing.
Oh, you're smart, too?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
It does not compute.
Right, and then especially, say, for me, single woman, so you meet a guy at a bar, and you talk to him, the football, and they'll find out about a doctor, and they're like, wait a minute. Does this mean you've been analyzing me the whole time? And I'm like, no, it only took about 30 seconds. We're good.
So now tell us about, obviously, your background is incredible, all the stuff that you do for women in sports. We love to have women on our show because we promote women in sports. We're going to have the first official in the NFL. So anytime there's any...
Oh, you have Sarah coming on?
Yeah, Sarah's going to come on.
Sarah is one of my dear friends.
No, so it's every time we have...
You're in the Hall of Fame together, you kind of become friends.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's great. So when did it start for you? Not back to birth. When did you realize that football was what you wanted to do?
I don't know that I realized it as early as people think. There's stories of me being a young kid and taking a football and running it on the back porch and doing it for hours and making my cousins tackle me.
Down in Vero Beach, Florida, right? That's where you grew up, yeah.
Yeah. And they would be like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that was so fun. Let's do it again. And, my parents who were not football people are like, oh, our daughter's an alien. And I think they still think that to this day. But, Vero Beach, Florida, it was like Friday Night Lights. The whole town shut down. Everybody would go watch the football games. And I just loved it. I thought these were like superhumans. And I was fascinated by it. And I just loved the game. I was drawn to it. Friends of mine were cheerleaders, and they'd be like, Jen, you got to cheer? And I'm like, no. I would put my back to the game. Like, I got to watch the game. And so there was always just something a little different, even though it wasn't something I could count yet, right? Didn't have an opportunity to play. Went to Boston College, found rugby. It was the closest thing I had ever seen to football. Fell in love with that. And played all 4 years, got recruited to the under-23 national team. And then when I graduated, I thought my sports career was over. And then I had to grow up and get a real job. That just never really happened. I mean, it did, but I didn't last. And then I tried out for my first football team. And as soon as I did, I was like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And I shuffled everything else around pretty much to make that happen.
And you played on, the list of accolades and the list of teams that you play for. You didn't just play, on a little team in a parking lot somewhere that nobody acknowledged. I mean, you played for the best teams out there.
Yeah, the very best of the best. I started with the Mass Mutiny, then I moved to the Dallas Dragons. From there, I went to the Dallas Diamonds, played with them for 10 years. In that time, we had 4 Super Bowls. Played for Team USA in 2010 and 13, which was the first and second Women's World Championship. Got 2 gold medals there, moved on to the Texas Revolution, men's professional football. Played with them a season, then they made me a coach the next season and went right from there to the Cardinals.
Yeah, and so the Arizona Cardinals hired you. So Bruce Arians, who's going to be honored on the Saturday, who was at Temple University after I was there, though. I mean, he's much less. But Bruce Arians, was Bruce Arians the coach who gave you the opportunity?
It was all Bruce. He is one of the greatest men out there, I think, because he bet on me, and it was something that was important to him. When we talked, he said, I remember when I was coaching back in college, said one of the best coaches I was ever around, her name was Dot Murphy. She was a receivers coach at Hines College. And so the fact that it's no better, it's got to change. And it's like, I don't know yet if I can make this happen. I have to get all the right yeses. But I want you to know it's in my heart to try. And, you know, it really was Bruce. You know, it wasn't the NFL. It wasn't this big push to get a woman in there. It was us meeting and really it being me and him.
How much resistance was there? And was there any resistance from the guys? Because they could see you're fit, you know football. Any of these guys who would spend 10 seconds thinking about it would say, you know what? It's not just because she's a woman. It's because she knows what she's doing.
The guys were great. If you have a chance to, and I tell anybody, I'm like, I hate to speak for my players, right? Because if they were there, I would rather that they tell you. But what I can honestly say is they were excited. You know, I would come in and they'd be like, Coach Jen, you know, I'm so-and-so, and, you know, introduce themselves and be like, I watched your game film. Like, you were amazing off the edge. Like, and they were cognizant about the fact that it was history, and they were honored to be a part of it. And from start to finish, I can tell you there was not one moment I would change, and not one interaction with one of the guys that made me feel like they don't respect me. And I mean, it was really one of the most powerful experiences of my life. And that goes to the caliber of men on the Cardinals, the caliber of men in the National Football League, which is, I think, a lot of the times you see the one negative example and it overshadows the amazing examples. Like, we had 90 guys in preseason and training camp, and all of them were supportive. Like, that's impressive. And it also speaks to the kind of guy that, you know, that Bruce Arians goes for. He values character players, and it's permeates through the organization. And
even the capper is that this was a damn good defense. This wasn't like some young team. That these guys were among the best in the NFL, the Arizona, especially their linebackers.
Yes.
Unbelievable
Yeah,
talent.
and, you know, it was interesting. So Larry Foote, who was my basically boss, right? I was his shadow, I like to say, who was the head of the inside linebackers. He went best known in the Steelers, but he was with the Cardinals, got injured, and Bruce knew how talented he was. Bruce is an eye for talent that I don't think it's logical. It's just his eye for talent. And he moved Footy right from playing into coaching because he knew how talented he was. Now, that's not a normal jump. Usually you have to go through all these different phases. Nope. He put him right up. And when I was going into season, the biggest question mark was the quote-unquote inside linebackers for the Arizona Cardinals. Would they be able to step up and fill the hole left by Larry Foote? D. Washington was gone, so what were they going to do? And Kevin Minter stepped up and really took control of that defense. And then we walked down Deion Buchanan, who was previously a safety, into the inside linebacker position. So it was really kind of cool because I remember some of the guys joking. They're like, Jen, you know our biggest question mark right now is the inside linebackers, right? And I was like, yeah, I heard that. And he said, good. If it's terrible, we can always say it's because our coach was a girl.
Gee, thanks.
So I mean, you're not stopping. So what's next for Dr. Jen, Coach Jen Welter?
Well, right now I am finishing a book. It'll be out in fall of 2017. It's called Play Big. Obviously, you don't have to be big to play big kind of thing. So that's really fun, and that's stretched me quite a bit. I will leave, February 10th to head over to Australia working with their women's national team. I've been over to Australia 3 times now to help them develop the game. But we have their selections and training camp for the women's national team. So I'm really excited about doing that and doing a lot of
It'll be winter though
motivation.
No, it's summer down there now.
Down there.
Right, it's summer down there now.
If it was winter, it'd probably be a deal breaker for me. Cold weather is my kryptonite. I'm not kidding.
You and me both, even though we live in cold weather and I grew up in cold weather. But once you get a taste of nice weather,
yeah, no, I'm terrible.
It's
I'm
hard.
terrible.
It's hard.
Once
Although
I'm
Arizona,
cold, I'm freezing.
Arizona's great. I mean, obviously Florida. We love Florida. When we go down there, we were just in Tampa. We love the Gulf Coast. And Houston's nice. I mean, the weather here is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
A little humid, though, for January, February. It's early February. It's like February 2nd.
Yeah.
And we're complaining about humidity rates. It messes up my hair.
Clearly, it's out of control. You better get some gel for that.
Well, Dr. Jen, it's a pleasure and an honor, and I know you've done a lot of stuff, but you're doing motivational. Any way for people to get in touch with you, contact you, Twitter, foundation, what do you got going on?
Absolutely. JenWelter.com is my website. That's the best thing. Join what's called the Premier Club, and then you get all the newsletters and everything and kind of stay up to date and in contact. At JWelter47 on Twitter, Welter47 on Instagram, and Dr. Jen Welter on Facebook.
I have to follow you now, and you have to follow me back, though,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes. Well, and also I think that the parents that are listening out there, if they have daughters that are kind of struggling, because I mean, high schools right now, they are not exactly the environment for young girls to get involved in football.
Right.
You know, there's all sorts of other teams that they can do, but football is still that elusive sport
Yeah.
for a young woman.
It's starting to change a little bit,
A
though,
little
right?
bit,
Little
but I mean, but not enough. And so, would they be able to contact you and get information on how to help their daughters out?
Yeah, I mean, I encourage people to reach out to me all the time. I never know what's needed until somebody tells me.
Yeah.
So I do my best to try and step up into those things when I can.
Fantastic.
Dr. Jen Welter, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.